Yo, it's signal to noise time.
Yeah, it is, man. So yeah, this is episode number 22,
That's
which seems
crazy.
crazy. No, I was thinking the same thing. It's already been 22 damn episodes. That's
Well,
crazy.
it's pretty funny because it's a 22nd episode, and one of our quote key numbers in our report today is 22.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, May 22nd. So yeah. Well, and so the title of this one is Another Day, Another Shai-Hulud. And if you haven't heard that term before or that name, well, I don't know what the hell Rocky been under, first of all, because it's been in the news. It's been in the news since last year, but um, it's the return of the worms. You know what I mean? And so this is a gift that just keeps on giving. But again, why don't you want to take us out and talk about how it, what the opening is on it?
Yeah, I mean we've
It's
definitely
our
cut.
friends, Team PCP,
Yeah,
right? Here we
Team
go.
PCP. Yeah, so if you just look that up, you'll learn a lot. So, like we said, we've covered this in the other episodes, 14 and 17. It seems like more than that. And
Yeah.
now in this episode 22. And here's the deal: is the threat actors have not kept the code to do this to themselves. They've made it available.
That's the big announcement. They've open sourced their shitware. That's what they've done. They put it out there for people to use, which, you know,
Yeah, and then like we've said before, I mean, if you have not taken the steps to secure your repositories, you are doomed because it doesn't take much for this thing to do its deed and get done and do a lot in a very small amount of time. And in 22 minutes in this particular case.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Somebody triggered me the other day, and I wasn't live online with them, but I was chatting. I was in the chat, and they started talking about this, and it was like, yeah, but I mean, you know what? This is this is defendable if you're just not living under a rock, right? I mean, there are things you can do to keep this from being a problem. We talked about this a episode or so ago when we were talking about SAP, right? It was the same damn thing. This is it. NPM library. So these are NPM modules. Once again, NPM modules being compromised and using the same tactics that have been used. Slightly different vectors, and they've got a few different vectors, but its underlying primitive is the same, right? They're using the basic same thing. But the numbers, again, it's the damn numbers on this thing when they're hitting these open source NPM modules and not unknown ones that nobody cares about either. They're smart enough to pick on the ones that wind up getting used in a lot of dashboards. In this case, a lot of dashboard and UI software was affected this time. So I mean, it took them, and the part that's amazing, and it's still amazing, we've talked about it, it's a sign of our times. It takes them 20, 22 minutes, 25 minutes to knock something off like this. 637 malicious NPM packages, 317 different package names, and 22 minutes it took them to really do that. I mean, it's just AI running. I mean, just these automated workflows, man. I mean, they've got it nailed and they're using them.
Yep. And there is that. And I mean, and this is not the idea of this is to take data that's valuable, extort people because you have that data, and spread amongst more, just keep spreading and spreading and spreading. I mean, it's the perfect thing. I mean, and these packages, like I said, they're not obscure. Size sensor is 4.2 million downloads a month.
A month. A month. Yeah.
E-charge for React is 3.8 million.
Yeah. A little bit less.
Yeah. So you just think about that and just think about the damage you can do very quickly.
Yeah. But now remember that, I mean, the whole idea, like Chris was saying, what they're doing is they're corrupting these NPM packages, and then their goal is that they go in and they scrape for API keys, secrets, tokens, anything that gives them access, right? I mean, we all know this. I mean, 80% of the 80% of the incidents out there come from phishing, which is all about credentials, right? And all of these keys and tokens and secrets are just machine level access control, right? I mean, that's what they're doing. So they're sticking to the same game plan, but they're utilizing, once again, they're utilizing development environments and the way the open source process works, the way development environments work, the whole idea, and they're using these command and control, channels that are derived at runtime, either by using, tokenized crypto methodologies that they can. That's what they're using to kind of get command and control established. And they do that at runtime. So there's no way to kind of pick off the URLs that they're doing this with. So this has been going on now for months. And so a lot of these are I can tell you GitHub, and now GitHub has obviously been under attack on more ways than one. GitHub got their self compromised
That's exactly right.
just recently. And so they got into their actual enterprise, their enterprise libraries, and got into the core of that. Um, by the way, using similar technology, that was going down on this. So GitHub themselves been under attack, but now GitHub's they're going to have to, which they were going to have to, they're kind of having to step up, right? So they're doing things like auto removal of packages, and in this case, they auto removed about 640 packages once it kind of came to light what was going on. And they invalidated 61,000 tokens, which are the tokens are kind of they're just like OAuth tokens, but for developers. So these are tokens that allow you access to your repositories, and anybody who didn't have multiple two-factor MFA, or had MFA bypass on, they just revoked the token, so you had to establish them again, which is not a big process, but that's the only thing they could do, really.
Yeah, and they probably done smaller batches before, but never 61,000 plus at one time. That's just my guess, but
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff has never been, there's no precedent for it. We haven't had to fight this battle on this front before. So yeah, there's going to be I got a feeling there's going to be a lot of record setting going on here in the short term, No?
yeah, for sure. And I'll say my part again. I mean, this part of the technology universe has not really been targeted like it is now, and it's
No.
a whole new ball game here. It's like like there was this hidden valley of gold somewhere that no one knew about. Now everybody knows about it, so they're all trying to get that gold out of that valley. So that's what's going on here. Yeah. So you want to break it down technically?
I mean, there were, like I said, there were a couple different variants on this, because there's it's like anything. There's different. It depends on what the application is. If you want to be stealthy, there's a variant that was stealthy. If you want one that just got a hell of a lot of horsepower and is a workhorse, there's one of those. And then there was the worm variant that Chris was talking about, and that's where any of the infected environments became basically a source to infect other environments. So that's the whole idea of the worm component. But the stealthy one just, they basically, the package body looks completely clean. So you don't really see anything. When we talk about package body, we're talking about the npm module itself. It looks clean. No malicious code is active. Scanners won't catch it because they're looking for hashes or IOCs that are related to what's in the file. And since these are clean, you're not going to pick it up on any kind of scanners. And then the logic lives externally to that commit, to the actual repository. And it gets wind up, this is the sneaky shit part. It gets wind up being in, when you have, we have optional dependencies. So in other words, when you download a module tells you, hey, I do a certain function, but I have some dependencies, and you're going to need to pull them down, right, for this to work right. And so, I'm saying this because that's what the systems do. The development environments go, oh, this module has dependencies. Let me download those. And then once it downloads those, it does an automatic execution of the configuration on those modules and the dependency modules that are pulled in. And that's basically how that works. So you don't see it coming. It's like a second stage, right? Your first stage is you need a module update. That's fine. You download the module. Clean, scanners can't catch it. But then that module tells the development environment, hey, there's some dependencies you need to get. That's where they load the trigger in. And once they do that, the auto config process that runs in development environments, if you have not fixed this in the last 6 months, then this is what it's going to do. This is a natural way that development environments have worked from the start. It's not some new thing. Then it executes the configuration code related to the modules and whatever the dependency modules that come into it. And that's when it happens. That's when they basically are able to bring in the malicious code and establish a process. And in a lot of cases, we've talked about this Trivy and Trufflehog, and there's all kinds of good systems out there that are legitimate systems that search for keys and tokens and all that. And they're basically reusing that code. They're just telling them they're firing off those specific tools in a lot of cases that are already on the device itself, and just living off the land and then running the ball. That's what they do. So
Yeah, and how about that worm one where it has a little bit of destructive capability in there, a little added feature?
yeah, well, I mean that's the difference between it. The workhorse one is just kind of got a little bit of an obfuscation to it, but it's very quick. It does a memory dump. It's sort of brute force, right? I mean, it just kind of goes through everything and just rips as much shit off as it can.
And it's doing its work. It's encrypted in
Yeah, yeah,
transit. So yeah, so
yeah,
it's not like
yeah.
you're going to be able to see that.
You're not going to pick it off, right? And then the damn worm one, which is everything that's in it uses the workhorse variant, and then it adds more shit onto it because that's what Chris is talking about in this case. And again, this one uses a C2 dead drop kind of a box to be able to get that command and control. You don't see that. It's at runtime. They establish this command and control channel. They get what the URL finishing URL is in that communication. So it doesn't live on your device. And it varies. It can change from query to query. They've built a system that kind of passes dynamic endpoint URLs as part of the process. And then the destructive, they basically put a wiper in there, wiper code in there to actually be able to go in and wipe shit out. So that's the difference between the C variant, which is it's doing everything the workhorse does to steal as much as it can, but then it basically detonates and has a destructive layer that kind of take out your repository. So I mean, it can just basically blank your damn repository. So those are the three different variants. And why are there three different variants? Is because that code's been released and people are now, you know, they're just pivoting off of those and adding different variations. So now the root algorithm has siblings, and that's what we're looking at, in this case. So
Yeah, no, I mean it's I think the thing too is you mentioned kind of the IOCs. I mean, it's not like you're looking for the IOCs in
yeah,
this
yeah,
stuff. In this case, you're looking for Python pulling the GitHub public API every hour. So you're having to look for different indicators
yes,
that you have traditionally not. I mean, I guarantee you go to any security class in college or whatever, they're not going to be talking about this or
nope,
any other thing. So yeah,
no,
this
no.
is a new, the SecOps team that's handling this type of stuff. They got to know how this stuff is working and what to look for sure.
Yeah, you do, and you got to be intimately aware of how that development environment works and how these things all work in unison together. And if you're not old school, I mean, look, the reason I know is because I've been involved in software development since compilers, were common on personal machines. And the evolution because you have to learn about it along the way. So I'm lucky. I actually understand how those things work. But to Chris's point, they don't teach that in high school. They don't teach that in high school or college, either one, about how does the underlying compiler really work in general, mechanically. That's not something that's really taught. So, and they're taking advantage of that. That's what this is all about. So,
Well, exactly right.
yeah.
What else do we want to talk about this one? I don't want to say we beat a dead horse on this topic.
No, it's like, well, yeah, I keep wondering. People got to be getting tired of hearing it because I'm tired of talking about it. I gotta be honest, but I mean, it's the same. I will say this: it's not. It is literally following the same pattern. Chris and I talked about this before. The 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 underlying reason that this is working right now is because there's so little movement on trying to fix the ecosystem to take this into account, and so little movement on the end users who are the developers, on their part to try and block it. I mean, it just you could say, well, there's probably people out there who are doing a lot of that. They're fixed, they're blocking. Yeah, but I mean, when you see a company like SAP or GitHub themselves being zapped at this point in time, they've had months of telemetry to know that this is an issue. So I'm not so damn sure that people are really paying attention to it and doing something about it.
I think again, I mean, this is just me hypothesizing here, but I just think this is falling between the cracks.
Yeah.
It's a area that your normal security operations team's not paying attention to. There's probably just not getting assigned to anybody, or people are saying this is a low probability risk. This is going to happen to me, even though I see things happening all around me. It's like you see all these people getting struck by lightning around you, and the storm's still going. No, I'm good. I mean, you're going to get struck by lightning, man. It's going to hurt.
That steel plate in your head is going to cause some problems.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly right. So, yeah, so I mean that's kind of it. I mean, and again, like this stuff is out there, so you got more people leveraging it, improving upon it, using it in different ways. So, there's just some things that you need to do. And I said, Bob, I don't know if you just want to.
Yeah, I can do
Yeah, I
that.
can do
Yeah,
that.
we can talk about it. So, I mean, a lot of this, again, it's a development environment thing. Most developers really don't do any kind of API audits. They don't do AI assistant audits to figure out what's going on. There's, we talked about the fact that variant C actually brings some code in, and so there's something that is brought in as a part of that config process. So, things like you can find the hooks to that kind of code. It'll be in the VS Code task JSON file. So there are telltale signs of this. The token monitoring, GitHub token monitoring, multi-factor on your GitHub repositories. You know, those are all counted. Any of the pre-configuration systems that you use like Bun or Node.js or those kinds of guys, you're going to have to put on a watch list any changes to those environments and what versions are being affected, because they've all been affected. It's just it's kind of moving from one direction, one particular outlet to another, which means you consistently can't know where it's going to come from. And I mean, bottom line, what it's done is it's created a development tooling, and all of the environment is an attack surface now. It's got a really broad attack surface now that we didn't really have to consider, as Chris was talking about. And these damn AI coding assistants on the configs and everything, this is one of our problems. And by the way, this is not isolated to development environments. AI assistants are a black box, and we still, I mean, even 2.5 years into it, we do not have the kind of monitoring points that we would really need to be able to tell what's going on with AI assistants inside of your ecosystem. There's just not very many monitoring points for it. And as Chris also mentioned this, and it was important, so I'm going to reiterate it. We're forced to be more behavioral monitoring than we had to have been in recent years, right? This is forcing us to watch for behaviors, like he was talking about, hitting GitHub on a regular basis. Yeah, bandwidth pushes inside of the network. That kind of, you're going to have to do network baselining and all of that. That's only the tools we got for kind of dealing with this at this point. But those are some of the things you can do in the short term. It really relies heavily on the development environments and the developers to really understand this. And for CISOs and anybody in security, you just got to push this narrative that you're just going to have to be a lot tighter and paying attention to what they do. That's really what it comes down to.
Yep, agree. I mean, and you're starting to see some solutions out here to kind of help people with this. There's some open source stuff and some
Yeah.
stuff that you do pay for, and there are solutions out there. I just um, people weren't doing enough to go adopt that stuff to help
No,
protect themselves and
you send me
protect
a
anybody.
URL.
Yeah,
Yeah.
anybody else that's using your stuff, right? I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah. That's right.
It's not just you're protecting yourself; you're protecting others from this
Yeah.
flowing down to them. So
Yeah, you sent me a URL, and I think Perplexity kind of put something together that will kind of scan files for you and look for these telltale signs of this kind of deal. So they're going to be more of those. They're going to be more of those out there. But that's the point being is that you just in the short term you're going to have to defend yourself until we can get some more tools built. That can kind of help it build. And then we'll be on to whatever the next variant is. So
that's right. Cool. Yeah, on this one, LMs pretty much agreed with this one, right, Bob? I mean, there was not a lot of
yeah, they're
not a lot of question about the stats or the
nope.
victims or what was done. It's spot on. So
Yeah, it was all, there was a lot of validated data on this. So, usually Chat GPT is pretty specific and won't say something unless it feels like it's been validated, but it dropped right in here with everybody else this time. There was enough information from validated sources that it all fell in place. So this is um, they all basically converge on the same core attack. That's like you're talking about. So we didn't really have much of that at all. So if you want to know what to do right now, kind of a thing, we can kind of touch on that. So you just need to be able to audit things like your package JSON for any kind of unexpected. And this all has to do with pre and post install scripts. This is where a lot of that work's getting done, as in these pre and post install scripts. That's where the bring in. remember, you remember that chain, right? You go in, you pull an npm library, it has dependencies, pulls dependencies in, then these JSON scripts, either for pre-install or post-install, run as part of the configuration process. So that's where a lot of this lives. That's where a lot of the tricky stuff lives. And then Claude Code and Codex, it's about your settings.json. So that's part of it now. Because
Yeah, I've heard that's becoming more and more of a
yeah,
target for attack.
yeah. Well, because those are system-wide configurations for Claude, and and again, you're able to kind of hide that in the back office of Claude if you're not careful. So settings.json, you need to be, and look, this is like what LineGuard does with configuration management, right? This is a little bit of configuration management. Take snapshots of your configurations periodically, and then have the systems automate compare. There are systems that do that already, so you could actually use those same types of systems. I'm going to be talking to Joe here not too long. I'm really curious about this topic, so I'm going to talk to him about it, because I think LineGuard and other configuration management systems have a part to play in this, because this is very much in their wheelhouse. It's a different way of looking at it. They probably never done it in this situation, but this is that it would work. It would do the heavy lifting.
That's a topic for another day, is the
Yeah,
configuration management stuff, right? I mean,
I
it
agree.
is so often overlooked, and it's not rocket science. It's like, hey, look like
No.
this, and now it looks like this. Why does it look like this?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, until now, we didn't really have the impetus for it, but clearly we do now, right? So this will probably push a lot of the configuration management vendors up the hill a little bit, because they could help in this case, 100%. So search GitHub registrations and look for anything that's got the name Shai-Hulud, which it'll be spelled SHA1 HULUD. So search for that kind of stuff, because anything that has to do with that, stay away from. Um, monitoring sysmd on the Mac OS, look for any kind of launch agents that are in their configuration files, because that's what you got to be careful about, right? And you need to rotate. You need to rotate everything that's accessible from your environment. If you spot something, you got to rotate everything. If you spot something in any of these things, stop what you're doing, rotate your keys, rotate your API credentials, rotate everything, because the odds are they've got their hands on it. And right now, honest to God, you should stop what you're doing and go rotate everything now anyway, just whether or not you detect anything. Because first of all, I know that's some work, but that's not a lot of work compared to what it could be. You can block things like t.m koshe.com, which is again a executable file that is used in some of these cases for detonation. So you could put that on your list to do that, and you could block a lot of those at the DNS and the firewall. So those are easy ones. Those are the easy ones. Just go ahead and block them.
if they're,
Yeah.
you got to figure out how to do that if your people are
Yeah.
distributed, right? So it's you
Yeah.
you have to do the endpoint, but yeah, for sure.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I think it's just staying on top of this stuff. I mean, you got to have as part of your. I mean, it's just like staying on top of some 0-day vulnerability out there that's
Right.
for Microsoft, blah, blah, blah. It's the same thing. You got to stay just as vigilant, stay on top of it, understand what the hell's going on, and respond quickly, immediately. This isn't something we'll go, okay, yeah, we'll put this on our plan for Q4. No, 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 no. You got to deal with this right now.
Well, I mean, the thing you got to know, the source code's out there now. So we're going to see all kinds of variants on this thing. So that kill chain hasn't changed it hasn't changed hardly at all in the last 5 months. So that's the good and the bad of it. The bad of it is it's so easy. It doesn't have to change, because nobody's blocking it right now. No one's got any kind of defensive posture to be able to block it. So it's not having to change. It doesn't need variations. They're successful without any kind of damn variation. So
Every day of the week.
yeah. All right. Well, I think that's covers it. So we'll like as always, we're going to have the research out on. We'll have it linked in the. There'll be an article on LinkedIn. This video, which is now we are on. By the way, we should say this. We didn't get a chance to say this. We're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts now. So we are. Yeah, we don't know what the hell we're doing, but we're making good time.
We're climbing up the creator ladder.
Right. So we have podcasts. You can consume us on whatever podcasts that you like to. I've always wanted to be able to say that and actually not snicker when I said it. But so you can catch us on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple, and then we will have a LinkedIn article that goes along with this. It'll have the files linked in in there. So you'll be able to get the research files there, and we'll have a written executive summary so that you can kind of get a top-down view of this.
Maybe we should start putting them in GitHub repositories. I mean,
I don't want to put shit in there. I don't even want to get near that place, man. It's like, yeah, it's like you got to get a penicillin shot before you mess with GitHub hardly anymore. It's crazy.
It's like that bar that was a cool place to go to 10 years ago, but you don't go to anymore. It's exactly like it is.
You never want to go in the bar where the hazmat team's exiting.
That's right.
Don't do it. It's just not worth doing.
Right. All right, good enough.
All right, guys. We'll catch you next time. See you.